It's definitive. You die if you don't sleep, right? I mean, it's a form of torture.
You can go longer without food and water, but after a few days without sleep, that you can die of sepsis. A lot of people drink alcohol or a nightcap because they think it's going to help them fall asleep, but it's one of those things that's going to hurt your sleep.
What would you say, is there like a least common denominator when it comes to insomnia?
We cannot command sleep, like flipping a switch.
Today we're going to go deep into sleep is where we're going to go. We have Dr. Daniella Marchetti with us. I said the name right because I'm Italian, and it is Dr. Daniella Marchetti. Pretty excited. Dr. Marchetti, she is a clinical psychologist, board certified in behavioral sleep medicine, which is amazing. Daniella, welcome, first off. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're super happy to be here. And I got to tell you something. So when we prepare for these, sometimes we're having to think about like what kind of questions can I ask? I was stopping myself from how many questions I had. So this is going to be a lot of questions, a lot of rapid fire. I hope you're okay with that, but just so many questions. So thank you so much for being here.
No, it's my pleasure. Can't wait.
Yeah. Let's take a step. Just first of all, I want to just first understand how you got fascinated with sleep and how this really became your thing.
Yes. So I actually became fascinated with the treatment for sleep. So myself, when I was learning health psychology at the University of Miami, I am a researcher by practice. And when I saw how large the effect sizes were for insomnia treatment, which we call CBT-I or cognitive behavioral treatment for insomnia, I thought to myself, okay, this is something that, first of all, I need to become competent in because it's so effective. And it also occurred at a time in my life when my own sleep was suffering. And so when I applied it to myself, I was pretty much sold.
Sleep is having a moment right now. Right? I mean, the longevity space, I mean, it goes, I don't know if it goes exercise then sleep or sleep then exercise as like one and the two things you can do to prolong your life. That's probably 95% of it, right? Sleep and exercise. You would probably argue sleep. I think exercise is right. I mean, they're like neck and neck, but sleep is having a moment, I think is a good way to say it.
Absolutely. When you look at biohackers like Brian Johnson, for example, he says sleep is number one.
Yeah.
And then you hear similar things from the likes of, Andrew Huberman, Dave Asprey, and that whole space. So I would argue that sleep is edging out exercise by a hair because good sleep improves your ability to exercure. So,
but good exercise improves your sleep also. So it's chicken and the egg there.
Bi-directional.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know. For me, I would put exercise ahead for myself, but sleep is there.
Ben's super hardwired, so anything that has motion and action is Ben is going to lean on that.
Sleep is
on that side of it, right?
I'm with sleep. Sleep annoys me. I wish I didn't have to freaking sleep. I hate it. I hate sleep. It's for it's the worst part of my day.
A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
A lot of great productive people in society actually feel that way. It's like, why do I need to slow down and rest? There's so much more I need to do. So I can understand that perspective. Absolutely.
But it's definitive. It's definitive. It's. I mean, you die if you don't sleep, right? I mean, it's a form of torture. I mean, those are all because it's that significant. So I bow down to the sleep, but I hate it.
Yeah, you can go longer without food and water, but after a few days without sleep, that you can die of sepsis.
Yeah.
So it's no joke.
Sorry, let's take a second on that because I don't think most people know that. Can you just dig into that a little bit more?
As far as the impact of
at what point does the lack of sleep kill somebody? Is that defined?
So as far as sleep deprivation does not directly cause sepsis, but chronic lack of sleep can weaken the immune system.
Yeah.
And I think the number now is 48 to 72 hours without sleep, puts you at that point where you're, dysregulated.
Yeah.
And you're more likely and more susceptible to infections like sepsis.
And I also think I also think
I
the
was
other
gonna say, I
thing
think there's
that's
several cokeheads that would probably have taken it to that extent. I mean, it's probably fair that they've taken it. We got to have one of those guys on, Ben, to ask them
meth
how
addicts
it
or
went for
something.
them,
Yeah, I mean,
how many hours they went. Okay,
yeah.
sorry, go, Ben. Shoot.
I think the other thing that's also very interesting about you, Dr. Marchetti, not Marchetti, is that you're doing it with CBI or CBT as opposed to medications. Or I mean, I know you probably do use or promote medications when indicated, type of thing. But the fact that you're helping people do it so much without medications is powerful, and also having a moment, I think, right now.
Yes, so CBT-I always say has a really bad marketing problem or a publicity problem because everyone knows about sleeping
Yeah.
medications, but no one really knows about CBT-I, even within my own field. A lot of psychologists, when I tell them I'm a sleep psychologist, ask me, how exactly do you do that then? But CBT-I is first line treatment for insomnia.
I
It's been
think
found to be
just to
effective.
interrupt, I think a lot of people aren't going to know what that is. Like define it for us, CBTI or cognitive behavioral therapy. Like give some context.
Yes. So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a modality for is a therapy option based off of working with behaviors and cognitions, right? So how are we thinking and feeling? How are we behaving? And CBT is commonly used for things like anxiety and depression. That's where we hear it mostly. But there is a separate protocol called CBT for insomnia or CBT-I, where we not only work with how you're thinking and feeling about your sleep and your sleep behaviors, but we are targeting a health behavior. So we're also monitoring that pattern. We're giving you a sleep log or you're doing it digitally. There's so many ways to track sleep these days. And we are creating a time in bed window that matches your needs depending on what your life is like, what demands you have, in order to increase your sleep pressure, so we can get you to have faster sleep onset times and consolidated sleep, better quality sleep. And so CBT is a big philosophy that was developed by Aaron Beck. But we have taken this offshoot protocol, and it happens to be more effective than the others.
So it's not just we can't
Daniela,
just have a Negroni and go to bed. It doesn't work that way. We can't
I'm
just
sorry, what was that?
to keep the Italian flair. We can't just have a Negroni and call it like that's going to put me to sleep because I love a good Negroni before bed. I mean, I know that's probably not your guys.
Let me tell you, that's actually one of the things I have to tell people is a sleep myth.
Yeah.
A lot of people drink alcohol or a nightcap because they think it's going to help them fall asleep, but it's one of those things that's going to hurt your sleep.
Yeah,
So I have to debunk that one.
that one sucks.
and just for clarity's sake, when we look at alcohol and those types of things, you may get to sleep, but you're not actually getting good sleep. Is that the differentiation?
Yeah, so alcohol has that soporific effect initially, right? And so it may help with sleep onset, but it actually changes your sleep architecture. So it impedes your ability to get into REM sleep, which is one of those deeper stages of sleep. It's where 95% of our dreaming happens. And it impedes our ability to get to that stage. And not only that, but it causes more fitful sleep, more tossing and turning, more likely to wake up, use the restroom, not feel great the next day. So I call it a false friend.
The
makes
the
sense.
thing I really want to get into because I've kind of started to obsess about it a little bit myself. This is the Aura Ring. I know I've seen you kind of talk about that recently as I was kind of reading about you and stuff. There's the watches, obviously. The ring I think is the best because it seems to be the least disruptive, at least to me. But I mean, you can really obsess about these things, and I love it. I love waking up and be like, boom, 88. How about that? I did it. Or if I get like the other day, I had a 59. I was like, where the hell did that come from? Or like my sleep score.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. The Aura Ring, the Whoop, if I had to name any two wearables, I would say those two are probably the most accurate and reliable to use when you're tracking your sleep. But it is a double-edged sword. Depending on who you are, there can be a little bit of this obsessiveness that comes with these scores, not knowing what they mean. What if I have two wearables and they conflict? And is this creating anxiety for me at the end of the day?
Yeah, and it does.
What I notice on the sleep tracking, which I think is crazy, is sometimes I'll go, God, I got an amazing night's sleep. And you look at the sleep tracking and it's awful. And you're like, should I feel awful now? Because I feel great, because I feel like I got a good night's sleep. So I've seen that just do the opposite, where it's like I could see how someone could talk themselves into one way or another. I got good sleep just based on whatever the tracker did, instead of just how I feel when I wake up.
Exactly. And the tricky thing with that is that there are limits to how accurate these things might be. You know, if you're in bed and you're just very still but awake, it may think that you've fallen asleep. And on the flip side, what if I'm a fitful sleeper? Maybe I toss and turn and it thinks I'm awake, but I'm actually asleep. And so oftentimes it might overestimate how much I'm sleeping. All wearables, not just the Aura Ring, tend to also underestimate sleep architecture too. I often get folks in therapy that ask, or say rather, I know I'm not getting enough deep sleep. How can I get more deep sleep? And they often point to their wearables as the way that they know that.
So what do you think to that point? What is the best objective measure? Because none of us know how much we're sleeping, other than like Dom said, you kind of feel good, you kind of feel like crap. What is the best way to do it? To determine
Yeah,
how?
so
Yeah.
Yes, I do think it depends on personality profile a little bit. If you know that you run a little bit anxious and a little bit more of a worrywart, I would say maybe take a step back from some of the wearables and some of these metrics. When I work with folks in the therapy room, I actually tell them, disregard your Fitbit, your Aura Ring, whatever other sleep tracker you have. Here's a paper and pencil. And I want you to write down the next morning when you went to sleep, how long you think it took you. I want your best estimate and how many times you can actually recall waking up in the middle of the night. And that's how we go about modifying the time in bed window.
Okay. And
So
really,
if you can use these,
you could
yeah, go
blind
ahead.
yourself to the ring too. You could do that, wear the ring, and just not look at the scores, and then see if you line up with the score. You know what I mean? So that's a good way to do it, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I use it as
And
like a fact checker. Use it to fact check your sleep.
so Daniela, so many questions, and I'm trying to think of the order of operations on these questions, which is, you're helping people more from a psychological perspective that are actually struggling with sleep. Are you actually also helping them with like sleep hygiene and these kind of things as well?
Yes, so sleep hygiene is necessary but not sufficient for helping with insomnia. Oftentimes when people come to me, they've already done some of these things, like gotten blackout curtains, using earplugs, white noise machines. This is important. We want a good sleep environment, but it's not sufficient in moving the needle if there's true insomnia present. But I do go over all of that in my initial sessions with folks.
Got it. And what would you say, is there like a least common denominator when it comes to insomnia? Like what is the underlying factor? Is it just anxiety and stress? Like what is it?
Yeah, I'd say depending on who comes to me, I see different profiles, but the big one is the relationship that person has to sleep. Do we view sleep as a performance metric? We talked about exercise versus sleep initially. Exercise and sleep function very differently as health behaviors, right? With exercise, the more effort we put in, the more linearly we can see changes. Same with nutrition, barring any, accessibility issues. When it comes to sleep, the more effort we put into things, sometimes the more sleep will elude us. And so depending on what your relationship is like with sleep, that's where I see insomnia crop up. Are we trying to control our sleep? Are we looking at it as a performance, like a number every day? Where's my number going? Do I feel anxious to go to bed? Am I now delaying going to bed because I'm anticipating I'm going to have a bad night? Am I on speaking terms with sleep? I would say that's the biggest piece, especially in a society where we are so productivity driven, in a society where we do have so many outsized demands and expectations. I would say it's that sleep effort piece.
That makes sense. There's this idea around like the military kind of teaching their people to like fall asleep whenever they can. Is there anything to that? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I just had read that recently that, you might only have an hour and a half to sleep, and it's like you need to fall asleep right away. By the way, I think if I was in the military, I would definitely be dead because I can never fall asleep that fast. Is there certain tricks to actually getting someone to just fall asleep right away?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a hot take there because I also work at the Veterans Hospital down here in South Florida. So I work with a lot of folks that were in the military. We cannot command sleep, like flipping a switch. Sometimes that method does work if there's sufficient sleep pressure. If you've been sleep deprived for a few days and someone tells you sleep when you can, you are going to be very likely to go to sleep when you need to. We see that also with a lot of folks in the healthcare industry that work night shifts. But if we've had a variable sleep schedule for a long time, working night shifts, rotating shifts, which we see in the military, then it's not so straightforward. And in fact, I would tell you that our insomnia rates are even higher amongst our service members and our veterans. So I'm not sure that method works all the time. It is, I would say, wishful thinking.
Okay.
I work at the Jesse Brown VA in Chicago. Oh, I did for 10 years. I'm on staff there. I don't go there as much anymore, but I loved it there. Yeah.
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 I got a lot of rapid fire stuff here, and then it'll probably branch off. Is temperature a major factor in getting good sleep?
It is. It does play a role. So our core body temperature needs to drop in order for sleep onset to begin. There are some things that we can do to help facilitate that drop in our body's temperature, like having a hot bath or shower 3 hours before bed. Going from a hot shower to ambient room temp can help facilitate that drop. Keeping lower temperatures have been found to be associated with better quality sleep.
I talk about this all the time. I just put a sauna on my roof. I friggin' love it. And it's honestly helps me
Great.
because I run warm at night and like you're cold when you get out of the sauna because it's 90 degrees Celsius when you're in it, you know? So yeah, I think that makes sense. But 3 hours, I do it a little too close to bedtime, I think.
My
I would give
question was
yourself some
about
time.
Ben's sauning. That was one of my questions. So Ben's doing this infrared sauna.
No,
every night.
mine's heat, baby. No infrared, nada. It's a real
Oh,
one.
it's just hot.
It's
Okay,
a real one.
it's a real deal. Ben, the next time I'm in Chicago, I'm
You
coming
come
to
in.
the sauna.
I'll heat it up.
But Daniella, is there something to that? Like what Ben's saying? Is it the sauna itself, or is it just the heat, or what is it?
It's the heat and the relaxation piece, right? So the more that we downshift our nervous system in those hours leading up to bed, the more likely we are to settle into sleep more easily and maintain deeper sleep. So we see that with temperature as well. If you can have some kind of ritual towards the end of your evening, whether it's sauna, jacuzzi, heating pad, hot shower, hot bath, we see in some research that also helps improve sleep quality.
And you know, Dom, when you're in it, your body is so hot, your body goes into that cooling mode. So you're sweating. So that's why, like, when you get out, you're overly cold. It's like even at normal temperatures. You know, it's like if you're in your car and it's nice and warm, and then you go outside, all of a sudden it's like freezing. So that's the as far as I understand it, that's the mechanism that your body is turning on the air conditioner internally, which is what you want before you go to bed. Yeah.
Daniella, I've recently gotten one of these mattress cooler things, and I've noticed my sleep has been fantastic ever since I got it. Am I imagining that because I spent a lot of money on it, or is that a real thing?
Well, we do see, the sleep industry, mattresses, sheets, all of these things are growing, but there is something to it. Having, especially if a person experiences night sweats, which can wake them up in the middle of the night, having cooling sheets, cooling mattress toppers, these smart mattresses, these kinds of things can help maintain a hospitable sleep environment. So I would say it's a part of good sleep hygiene. Is it enough to cure insomnia? I would say no, but I do think it's a part of a good, healthy sleep regimen.
Dom, which one did you get, man? Let's get him to sponsor the pod.
I don't. You know what? I would love him to get him to sponsor the pod. I don't want to pump him up, but I have the 8 Sleep one.
Ooh, man, that's not cheap.
It's not. It's not.
You got the good
but
one.
I gotta tell you, I'm pretty happy.
Really?
So-
Okay. I've been looking at it. So yeah, we got to talk.
Oh,
about
Ben.
that.
Okay, we'll take this off. We'll take it offline. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
I'll tell you all the goods. You hear a lot about blue light, Daniella. Is that really a thing? Is that truly a thing?
It is. It is. So when we look at our tablets, computers, phones, there is that blue light, and there's a photoreceptor in your eye called melanopsin. It's not a hormone like melatonin, but you can think about it as doing the opposite of melatonin, which is it signals to your brain that it's the daytime. So when we do, consume a lot of media via, these screens, we're sending competing signals to the brain at night. Or it's say our melanopsin is saying, "Hey, it's daytime." The melatonin our body's trying to release because it's dark out is saying, "No, no, it's nighttime," and then it can make sleep onset a little bit more challenging.
That's interesting. And I know a lot of time people are saying, don't look at screens, do these things. But if TV like calms you down, isn't that the kind of goal you want to get to? Like, what would you tell your patients in that situation?
Yeah, and this is a common one because so many people watch TV to unwind at night. They watch TV while they're having dinner with their partner. When I like to look at the whole picture. So I try to see, what squeeze is going to get us the most juice. Oftentimes, I don't start with a TV ritual at night. If there are other things that are impeding their ability to fall asleep, like variable wake times or spending a lot of time awake in bed, I try to target those first, and then we might clean up some of this sleep hygiene later. So I would say, if you're watching TV late at night, TV is at a distance from you, so it's not as bad as having a phone directly in your face. I would say if we had to pick one, watch your program as long as the content you're consuming isn't like jarring or stressful. And choose that over like scrolling or consuming short form content on your phone.
You know what? I was watching that show, The Bear, with my wife. Have you guys seen this
Chicago show, man. I haven't seen it yet.
Show. It's real stressful. Like now that I'm thinking about it, when I was trying to go to bed, like I was really, thank you for that. I'm going to be careful about what I watch before I go to bed because that was really stressful. You keep hearing about, I don't know, I keep hearing about like couples that don't sleep in the same room. This seems like it's becoming a thing. What are you hearing about this, Danielle? And is this like something that people should look at, which I think that would like get in the way with your social agenda, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, what are your thoughts there?
That's a great question. So we call that sleep divorce in sleep circles.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is kind of a brutal name when you
it's a
when you
little
think about
aggressive,
it.
I think. Yeah.
It's accurate.
Yeah, but you know what? It's very common, and in fact, a lot of the couples I work with, oftentimes the scenario I see is someone has a CPAP machine.
Yeah.
They have something going on at night that makes it difficult for the other partner, or someone is more of a night owl, someone's more of a morning lark, and they don't want to wake each other up in the middle of the night. In some situations, short-term sleeping in different bedrooms can be beneficial. It can help the sleep get back on track, which can then have carryover effects into the relationship. If you're sleeping better and your partner's sleeping better, you're more likely to be regulated on both sides and then communicate more effectively. So it can help if you're engaging in that kind of behavior short term. There are some partners, though, that really just want to go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, and have that be, a shared intimate moment. And so with those couples, then, we have to get more creative about how we navigate whatever the hiccup is, if someone is waking you up or if it's a scheduling issue. But it can be helpful for some.
Okay, that makes sense. So I got to ask this question because along the same line is sex a sleep aid? That's what the folks want to know.
Yeah, so that's a great question too, because everyone has a different relationship to sex. For some people, it can be definitely very relaxing, a part of your nighttime routine, and makes you go to sleep easier. For others, it can be a very activating, encounter to have, and it might make you feel wired afterwards. So what I often tell folks is if you're on the fence on whether or not this should be your right before bed activity, is, for a few days, test it out. On a scale from 1 to 10, see how alert you feel afterward, and be your own judge. If this is something that works for you and it works for your partner, then have it be a part of your routine. If it's something that makes you feel more activated and keeps you up at night, then maybe we get creative about how you go about your intimacy with your partner.
I just got to say, Ben, like out of all the shows that we did, telling people and couples that they need to have sex at a bunch of different times to test it out is probably the best thing we could have ever done for anybody.
Hey,
this is a bonus show.
Have some sex and go to your own bedroom. Essentially, what we're telling them. Yeah.
Go to your own bedroom. That's right.
Yeah, it's just it's different for everyone. There's no hard and fast rule.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to ask a few other things. So, I noticed in your profile you talk about nightmares, and you're helping people with that. Why does it seem, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but why does it seem that nightmares are happening more when you're a kid than it is when you're an adult? Or is that just more individual?
Yeah, so it depends. So when you're a child, you not only have nightmares, but you're more likely to have night terrors. And these things can sometimes get conflated.
My son is having those right now, man. It's crazy. I was going to ask you about him to get a free consult. He's having like new sleep problems, but they really are night terrors. I told my wife, I'm like, it's normal. Like that adolescent boy is like classic, you know?
Yeah. So in night terrors, those are usually scarier for the people it's waking up than the person actually having them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're screaming, they're disoriented. You just ease them back to bed. The next morning, they may not even remember. But then you as a parent, you're now awake in the middle of the night and you're like, what do I do with that? Yeah. So it's, usually more work for the parents. But so that sometimes is what might make it feel like kids are having, more nightmares than adults. I would say how much REM sleep you're having is probably the biggest indicator of your likelihood for vivid dreams or nightmares.
And can you expand on that? Is it the more REM sleep you have, the more the possibility is?
Yes. So 95% of our dreaming happens in REM sleep. That doesn't mean that all your dreams are going to be nightmares, but if you are sleep deprived, for example, and you're having a hard time, like you're anxious and maybe you're sleep deprived because of, a stressor at work, your brain does something called REM rebound, where it gives you extra REM to compensate for that sleep loss. And so you couple that with whatever anxiety or stress you're going through during the day, and then you're more likely to have nightmares.
Yes, I feel like I read something about Daniela's help out with this, that people that are basically using cannabis all the time, supposedly when they stop, they have like wicked like nightmares after because it was like a catch up. Is that kind of the same idea?
Anecdotally, I've seen that in session as well. Now, cannabis, just like alcohol, just like nicotine, does alter your sleep architecture. So when you stop consuming a substance like that, the brain is going to change. It's going to shift the way it's operating at night, particularly around REM. And so if you're having some more of that REM rebound, and then also going through whatever changes you're going through, and there must have been a motivating reason for stopping or starting any kind of substance use, then yes, you could have a little bit more nightmares or vivid dreams. So I do see that in clinic.
Is there a reason why some people have more lucid dreams than, say, others?
So some people can become lucid dreamers and some cannot. And we still don't know, as a field, what that determinative factor is. But what we do know is that folks who journal their dreams have a higher likelihood of becoming a lucid dreamer. So if that's something that someone wants to do or to become more in control of their dreams, we say keep a journal. Even if in the morning all you can remember is, I saw the color blue, start there. And then every day write down whatever you dreamt. You'll start remembering more and more and more. And then you get closer to being able to change the content of your dreams. And that, to a certain extent, is the foundation of nightmare therapy, any kind of prescription therapies for nightmares.
I love when I can remember my dreams. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's so cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I thought about that last night.
Does it mean anything if a dream just keeps recurring?
So if there are dreams with certain themes, or if it's the same exact dream, then that's just a sign that there's something that the brain is still processing. When we're dreaming, the amygdala, which is, the emotion detection center, the part of our brain that processes how we're feeling, and the hippocampus, which is, where we store our memories, these two parts of the brain are the most active. And so dreaming is a way for us, at least this is the main evidence-based theory that we have at this point. Dreaming is our way of working through trauma or difficult things, or just, day-to-day life. So if you have recurring themes or recurring dreams, to the T, then there's a sign that there's something there that may need daytime attention.
Okay, that's interesting. I remember my mom. She used to like go to a dream group, you know what I mean, where these ladies would get together and talk about their dreams and everything. And it seemed like, and tell me if this is right, Daniela, but it was almost like there was a legend, like a map legend of certain things mean certain things in dreams. Is that actually a real thing, or is that not a real thing?
So as far as the research goes, no. That is very Freudian. That is a Freudian philosophy, right? That certain things mean certain things in dream analysis. Now, I don't want to get in the way of anyone's meaning making, like with their dreams. But as far as like the research goes, we can't say, if you dream of water, it definitely means X, Y, Z, or if there's like a predictive nature to dreams, like there's nothing founded in science that can tell us that. Right now, dreams are just our best way of, making sense of our day-to-day life, which is funny because our prefrontal cortex is largely offline while we're dreaming. So that's why they don't always make sense.
I see. Yeah, because I guess in your field, it's got to be tough in the sense of this is something that's happening every night, and it seems like everybody's trying to pull meaning out of it, and we just don't know that much about it in a lot of respects. Is that probably a fair statement?
Yeah, I think it's normal to want to make meaning out of things. Why did I remember a certain person? Why do I keep seeing this scenario? I think that's a very human approach, to the dreams that we're having. I would just say if there's anyone out there that's agonizing over their dreams, and if it's creating anxiety or stress, I would say, put the dream down. It's a collection of thoughts, memories, and emotions, from your life. And again, the prefrontal cortex is offline, so it may not make sense, and we may never make it make sense.
I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. For like just the general person like Dom and I, who are out there busting their chops all day, working hard, and they're trying to optimize their sleep, other than all of the things you're saying, the optimizing your bedtime, the lack of electronics, the wake up and go to bed times the same, like those are the standards, and those are probably 90% of how you can improve your sleep. Is there any of these supplements that you would promote? Like creatine, for instance, I've been doing that for over a year now, and I think it has improved my sleep a little bit. Definitely makes me feel better overall, and I think I'm getting a little more gains at the gym. But is there anything, other than healthy diet and healthy sleep habits, that's like a magic pill?
Sure. I mean, if we had to go down the road of supplements, I definitely take those as more of like an insurance policy. Creatine is great when there's sleep loss. So creatine won't make you fall asleep faster or consolidate your sleep for you, but if you're taking it every day and then you go through a bout of poor sleep, you will be more resilient to that sleep loss. And so we see that creatine is helpful in that regard. Other supplements I would mention are magnesium glycinate.
Yeah.
That one's having also a pretty large moment.
I would say exactly.
Yeah, because people are using it for a lot of things. And so it definitely can help with insomnia if you're having chronic pain, tension, anxiety. Through those mechanisms, it can help with sleep as well. I would say take it orally, not a spray, not transdermal. And taking it, at least, an hour or two before bed. And that can be found to be helpful.
And restless legs also, that one's good for, right? Like kind of the jittery, kind of muscly. That's where I think I kind of have a little bit of like restlessness, and I think it helps my muscles feel a little more chilled out.
Absolutely. And iron for RLS as well. Very important.
Daniela, I feel like the magnesium helps me stay asleep more than anything else. Is that in my head, or is that real?
No, that could definitely be the case, especially because we know so pain and tension and cramps, these things often wake people and rouse them out of slumber. So if you are taking something that's going to help with that, you're more likely to stay asleep and have more consolidated sleep.
Got it. How soon before bed should you take magnesium?
I say at least an hour. You want to give your body a chance to metabolize it. You can always look for magnesium in certain foods as well. But if you're taking a supplement, at least an hour, maybe two, and just have it be a part of your daily routine.
Okay. Is there such a thing as catching up on sleep?
I'm afraid not. So this is also a little bit of a hot take too. We can't bank our sleep, and so oftentimes, folks might sleep in on the weekends and think, okay, I'm going to catch up, I'm going to feel good, but often that ends up dysregulating our sleep more. When I sleep in because I had a poor night, now I've created circadian misalignment. I've slept in, I've shifted my schedule, so now I'm more likely to go to bed later or struggle going to sleep on time the next night. It might mess me up the next morning. And it's what we call social jet lag. And for each hour of change that we introduce into our schedule, it can take about a day to a day and a half to recover from that change and feel totally good in our new routine.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no. Whatever you
Okay.
lose, you've kind of lost.
Okay. Good to know. I got a few more questions, but I just want everybody to know if you're enjoying this, go to DanielaMarchetti.com. That's Daniella. I'm not going to spell that for you, but Marchetti I am, Marchetti.com. Danielle, we always like to ask this question, but you're starting to get this brand as the sleep expert. How has that journey been for you? Just being kind of creating your brand, kind of being an entrepreneur in sleep. Like, how's that working for you?
Yeah, I used to tell all my friends I would never be an entrepreneur, which is funny. But after I became board certified in behavioral sleep medicine and I realized how little people know about sleep, or how little of us there are with this certification. If you were to look at the DBSM list, there's maybe a couple hundred of us in the country that have achieved this accreditation. I decided to do some more public facing work. And so I started my private practice. I've started my Instagram where I post things. And it's been interesting. It felt a little uncomfortable at first because nobody teaches you how to do that, how to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business. But, step by step, I've gotten there.
Has it affected your sleep?
No. The thing that's probably impacted my sleep the most is that I have 3 children.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But, there are, external sleep disruptors, I say, are always easier to handle than the internal ones, like anxiety and those pieces. But
Got it.
yeah, the accreditation has come in handy.
So you're enjoying it. What's the future of sleep? Like what is around the corner? Is there I don't know. Is there breakthroughs? Is there anything that you're watching just from a science perspective?
Yeah, I see that we're starting to develop different profiles for folks with insomnia issues. Like we're starting to see, patterns like folks that just have insomnia and that it's driven by anxiety, folks that have what we call it COMISA, comorbid insomnia and sleep apnea. Like that's a very different way of treating sleep. But the public more and more has decided to turn away from pharmaceutical options in favor of things that are more cognitive behavioral. So I think that we're going to start seeing, more and more research and looking at these different sleep profiles, just so that we can be more precise, with our treatment options.
You know what's
The
funny about
CBT-I
that?
is, yeah.
I would say that's true. The turn away from pharmaceuticals, I think, is across the board in many ways. other than Ozempic and the GLP-1s, people are like, jam it in me, give me more, so it's a kind of a funny, I did a couple posts on like people bitching about the COVID vaccine, like, oh my God, I'm not going to give myself that. And then it's like, at the same time, they're paying thousands of dollars to shoot themselves up with a GLP-1 because it makes them lose 20 pounds. So it's a funny dynamic.
Well, we're not unaffected in the sleep world because
course.
now we've seen GLP-1s be labeled a treatment for sleep apnea. And so I think that's also creating some misinformation, actually, about how sleep apnea, yeah.
Is that because of the obesity component of sleep apnea then? Is that how they get that cleared?
Exactly.
Or like neck circumference, I think, is like the number one indicator of sleep apnea scores, right?
Yeah, so we see folks that are overweight and obese, have large neck size. We see those folks tend to have sleep apnea more, but sleep apnea is not just a weight-driven
Of course, yeah.
Illness. A
about
lot
the
of people
jawline.
might have central. Well, a lot of people may have central sleep apnea, which is driven actually by neurology. And some people lose a ton of weight and they still have sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Some craniofacial features may contribute. And so it's not one-to-one. You could take a GLP-1, lose some weight, and still have sleep apnea at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, sleep apnea is one of those things, there's not really a cure, right? I mean, you can improve your scores, but it's a hard thing to get gone. So that's why the CPAPs or some sort of positive airway seems to be the way to optimize it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Danielle, we always ask our guests this. In your field, what would you say that is out there that is talked about a lot, but it's actually BS? Like it's not real. It's not the right thing to do. Is there anything out there you comes to mind?
Yeah, so one of the big ones is how people use melatonin. So that's a common over the counter. Sometimes I even see prescribers prescribe it, even though you can get it at a pharmacy. And people think that it's a treatment for insomnia or just part of a healthy sleep regimen. But melatonin was never meant to be a long-term treatment, and it was never meant for insomnia. It's meant for circadian misalignment. So issues with, let's say, jet lag if you're traveling, again, for short-term periods of time, if you had a delayed sleep phase or any other kind of circadian issue, that's when we would use melatonin. But it shouldn't be taken like vitamin C every day, or something like that. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, for instance, like if I'm on the East Coast and I go to the West Coast, I notice, God, I'm tired early, but then I pop awake at 4 a.m. or whatever it is. That's kind of when you use it because I think I maybe taken melatonin literally like once in my life, and it gave me a headache when I woke up, and I never took it again. So, how would you use it like in a jet lag situation?
Yeah, so I would actually use it when I'm going east. So like, let's say, we're Italian, right? If we're going to Italy and they're 6 hours ahead, I'm on Eastern time. Then that first day that I'm there, I would say, take a milligram or two of melatonin 3 hours before you want to be asleep. And do that for the first couple days while you are getting adjusted to your new time zone. Because we don't want to be taking it right as we get into bed. It's not a hypnotic drug. It's what we in the sleep world call a chronobiotic, which means it draws your sleep forward. And it'll never say that on any melatonin bottle. It'll never say take it 3 hours before you want to be asleep. But that's how you should be taking it.
Yeah, and the other thing people are doing, they super hyper dose it, right? People are taking 20 milligrams, crazy amounts, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yes. And your brain, your pineal gland produces about 0.5 milligram to 1 milligram every night to make you go to sleep. That's all your brain needs. And so when you see folks popping like 5 milligram, 10 milligram gummies, I've even had folks tell me they've taken like 20 and 40. You're doing too much, and it's probably not working the way that you want it to. And while it may not be lethal to take too much, there are side effects that often mimic like sleep deprivation side effects, like brain fog, fatigue, GI issues, like that sort of thing.
And what about, and is that along the same lines too with like all these people that are taking CBD for sleep and those kind of things? Is it similar kind of issues?
Yeah, so CBD is another one that a lot of folks might dabble with and see if that improves their sleep. The evidence right now is mixed, right? So we cannot formally recommend that be taken to help with sleep. For some folks that have anxiety, we see some, modest improvements. But with other folks, that can make them more anxious. And so I say know thyself. And there are probably other things that are more effective than your CBD supplement.
Got it. So we asked what was BS, and those were great answers, by the way. Now we know about melatonin. We know what it's for. We know when to take it. That was super helpful. What in your space is pure magic? Like, is there something you can put your finger on to go, this is something that you can count on? Not necessarily that's going to get you to sleep and cure your insomnia, but like, this is absolutely like the right thing to do, and it's something you would recommend all the time.
Yeah, I don't have a silver bullet, but I would say the one unpopular recommendation I make that is the best one I can make is when you've been in bed for more than 20 minutes, get out of bed, do something else, distract yourself, and come back when you feel sleepy again. That is going to strengthen the bed as a cue for sleep, which is all you need to do to mitigate insomnia. We just need the brain to relearn its association of the bed with sleepiness. And we call it stimulus control in the sleep world. I never actually tell my patients it's called stimulus control, but that's the name if you ever want to Google it. But that's the secret sauce. That's what makes CBT-I more effective than medications.
That's really important. And sorry, let's say that word again, because I thought that was really important.
It's called stimulus control.
Stimulus control, and you said doing with the bed. Sorry, I can't remember what you just said there about the bed.
Yes. So we want to strengthen the bed as a cue for sleep. It's a form of conditioning, right? And so we want to get out of bed if it's been more than 20 minutes and we haven't fallen asleep yet, whether it's the beginning of the night or the middle of the night. Get out of bed, do something else in dim light, no screens, read, stretch, fold laundry, and come back when you feel sleepiness come on again and just try again. And if you do this over time, you're going to strengthen that bed as a cue for sleep. So the brain knows automatically, head hits the pillow, it's time for me to power down.
Okay. It's been 50 minutes and I haven't told you my sleep cure, and I just don't. I've been scared because I'm afraid you're going to tell me that I shouldn't be doing this. So
Well, let's
for
hear
the
it.
longest time,
I kind of want to guess.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like nervous, but it's the end. I gotta ask. I just have to ask. I've been using audiobooks for like the longest time. I like listen to like a fun fiction audiobook, nothing serious. It tends to whack me out within like 15 minutes every night. Is that a bad thing I'm doing for myself?
I don't think so. It works almost similarly to TV. A lot of folks will put on a show they've seen a billion times, leave it on in the background, put a timer on, and then go to sleep. And it works, I think, similarly to that in creating a little bit of white noise. If you're not having any kind of insomnia, then don't fix what isn't broken. But if one day you do, then that might be low-hanging fruit, something that you could clean up a little bit. But honestly, no, I'm not concerned about your audiobook.
It's the lesser evil. My eyes are closed than the rest. Okay.
And it'll turn off eventually. Yeah.
I thought she was going to tell me I can't do it. It's on a timer. I put it on a timer and then I just fall asleep, and then that's how it works. But I was so afraid she was going to tell me I got to stop doing this right away. It's eating my brain or something like that.
So you do headphones with the Dom, or how you do it?
It's awesome. I got like a single little earbud that goes in my ear, and it's on the lowest volume, and the story starts being told, and I get into it, and then all of a sudden I'm out, and then it shuts itself off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's working a little bit like white noise does.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that. I have a little noisemaker thing I need. Yeah.
Yeah. See, no drugs. No drugs.
There we go.
That's it.
No, still a Negroni from time to time. I mean, come on.
It's been an awesome episode. I learned a ton. I feel like we went in areas that a lot of people don't talk about too, which has been a lot of fun. And so thank you so much for joining us. For everybody out there, Dr. Daniella Marchetti, DanielaMarchetti.com. Make sure you check her out.
What's your Instagram, Daniella? I don't think I got it.
It's at Dr. Daniella Marchetti. So that's DrDaniella Marchetti. And yeah, please come join me there.
She's amazing. Get your sleep fixed by Dr. Daniella. You got to go ASAP. Thank you, Daniella.
Thanks for coming.
This is
Thank you
awesome.
for having me.